Have you ever, found yourself daydreaming about that big promotion or maybe a really deep connection with someone or finally getting good at something tough?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
And when you picture it, does that little voice pop up wondering, can I actually make this happen? Or is it just, well, a nice dream?
That's such a universal feeling, isn't it? That deep desire to not just wish, but to actually, create a better reality.
Absolutely. And today on the deep dive, we're really going for it. We're jumping into a book that hits this right on the head. Dr. Joseph Murphy's Believe in Yourself. It came out way back in 1955, but wow, is it still relevant?
Totally.
Our goal here is to unpack Murphy's core ideas, how you can use your imagination, your thinking in a really disciplined way to, well, get what you want, overcome obstacles, and basically transform your life. We're pulling this straight from his work.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how he uses biblical stories but interprets them psychologically.
Yeah.
He argues that Joseph in the Bible isn't just some historical guy. For Murphy, Joseph represents a disciplined or controlled imagination. And he sees this as a fundamental power of the mind, the power to take an idea and actually make it visible, make it real.
And that's why, in his view, Israel loved Joseph. Because Israel here means the spiritually awake person, you listening, who gets how powerful this controlled imagination really is.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy calls imagination the son of his old age. But old age isn't about years, it's about wisdom. Knowing how the mind works. It's like a new level of awareness dawning inside you.
Exactly. It's seeing imagination not as just fantasy, but as this incredibly potent creative tool. I mean, think about the greats, scientists, artists, inventors.
Yeah, the people who did the impossible.
Right. When everyone else said, no way, they were the ones who, inside their minds, are like, done. They saw it first, vividly.
And Murphy's point, which I love, is that this isn't just for geniuses. He's talking directly to you, saying your imagination can unlock reality secrets. He tells this amazing story about an industrialist.
Oh, yeah, the guy who started with basically nothing. A tiny little shop.
That's the one. He didn't just hope. He, systematically pictured this huge corporation, branches everywhere.
He really went into detail, didn't he? Picturing the buildings, the offices, the factories, all of it. He truly believed in what Murphy calls the alchemy of the mind, that power to turn thought into actual stuff.
So what happened? Did it work?
Oh, big time. He became incredibly successful. Murphy says he started attracting everything he needed, ideas, people, money, through the universal law of attraction. He just lived with those mental images until they had no choice but to become real.
And the industrialist himself said something really profound. It is just as easy to imagine yourself successful as it is to imagine failure, and far more interesting.
That hits hard, right?
Yeah.
It puts the power squarely back in our court. It's an internal choice.
But, okay, it's not just about seeing the picture in your head, is it? Murphy says these images need to be charged with feeling.
Yes, that's absolutely crucial. The feeling is the fuel. Yeah. Thomas Troward, another big name in this area, said, feeling is the law, and the law is the feeling. Feeling is the fountainhead of power.
Wow. Fountainhead of power.
Yeah. You have to feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of already having what you want. Otherwise, the mental picture is just, well, it's flat. It doesn't have juice.
Okay, makes sense. So you build this amazing feeling-charged vision, but then what happens when, reality check, your current situation looks nothing like your vision? Murphy uses that story. Joseph dreamed a dream and told it to his brethren, and they hated him. What's that about for us?
This is where it gets really practical for everyday life. Your brethren, according to Murphy, aren't necessarily other people putting you down. They're your own internal thoughts, feelings, beliefs. The inner committee.
Oh, the inner committee. I know them well.
Right. They're the voices saying, that's ridiculous. You can't pull that off. Who do you think you are? To hate the dream, in this sense, means your own mind is rejecting your higher vision.
Okay, so internal opposition. How do we handle that? How do we quiet that committee?
The technique sounds simple, but it takes practice. You have to consciously pull your attention away from what your eyes and ears are telling you right now. Detach from the sense evidence.
Even if things look bad.
Especially then. You deliberately shift your focus and think clearly with real interest and absorption about your goal as if it's already done. When you get your mind locked onto that reality, Murphy says you engage the creative law, and it has to manifest eventually.
And the coat of many colors. That's such a cool image. What does that symbolize?
It's a really rich metaphor. Your coat, Murphy says, is your psychological state, your dominant attitude, your moods, your feelings. So the many colors mean you have the ability to mentally clothe any idea in form.
So I can choose the color or the feeling.
Exactly. You can mentally wear abundance even if you see lack right now. You can project peace into a situation of discord. You can imagine health when there's sickness. Your imagination is this incredibly versatile coat.
That implies a huge amount of personal power, doesn't it? Over our circumstances or feelings.
Absolutely. Murphy drives this point home again and again. Nothing outside you can affect you without your mental agreement. You're the only thinker in your universe. Your emotions, they follow your thoughts.
So we're not just reacting all the time.
No. You are, as he puts it, supreme in your own orbit. You can consciously, voluntarily choose to change your mental attitude no matter what's going on around you.
And this ties into how we think about, well, about God or a higher power.
It does, very directly. Your core concept of God, which Murphy sees as this inner spiritual power that responds to your thought, shapes your whole outlook. If you truly believe this power is always guiding and supporting you, you'll naturally develop a joyous expectancy of the best.
Like that story of the high school kid who turned his grades around. How did he actually do that?
Yeah, that's a great example. He was failing, bad memory, the whole deal. His attitude was terrible. But then he realized how important school was for college. So he started to pray scientifically, meaning he consciously acknowledged the power within him as the source of intelligence and ability. He affirmed, "My memory is perfect. Infinite intelligence guides me." And crucially, he didn't just say the words. He consistently imagined his teachers and his mom congratulating him on getting A's. He lived in that feeling.
And it worked.
Completely. His whole attitude shifted. He started studying differently, and boom, top grades. Inner change led straight to outer change.
Okay, this is powerful stuff. We've got imagination, feeling, handling doubts, choosing our attitude. What's the next piece for making it real?
This leads us to another key metaphor. Joseph is sold into Egypt. What this means, in Murphy's view, is that your idea, your desire, has to go into the subconscious. It needs to be subjectified.
Subjectified, like planted deep inside.
Exactly. It has to sink into that deeper subjective part of you before it can become objective or real in your outer world.
Yeah.
Remember, imagination controls that whole inner conceptive realm.
So how do we plant it effectively? What's the method?
Okay, think of your conscious mind like the driver steering the car. But the subconscious is the massive engine providing the power. To get an idea into the engine, Murphy says you need to relax, get physically still, immobilize your attention.
Quiet mental chatter.
Right. Get into a quiet, receptive state. Then you focus your attention on your desire, like using a magnifying glass to focus sunlight. That focused, sustained attention creates intensity and makes a deep, lasting impression on the subconscious.
So it's not just a quick flash of an image, it's holding it, letting it soak in.
Precisely. Murphy calls it continuous or sustained imagination. That's the secret sauce. You run your mental movie, the end result you want, over and over, with feeling, until it feels natural, like a habit. That consistent repetition impresses the subconscious.
Didn't Dr. Murphy have a personal story about this? Selling his house?
Yes. Perfect example. He wanted to sell his house. What did he do? He vividly imagined taking down the for sale sign. He pictured carrying it to the garage, tossing it aside and saying, I don't need you anymore.
He felt the satisfaction.
Totally. The inner feeling of relief, of it being done. And what happened? The very next day, a buyer showed up, left a deposit, and Murphy physically took down the sign, just like he'd imagined. The outer world literally matched the inner action.
Wow. That's pretty direct. And there was the story about the young woman and the Cadillac, too.
Another great one. She really wanted a Cadillac. Didn't just wish. She mentally went through the whole experience, test driving it, feeling the seats, smelling the new car smell, driving it off the lot. She lived in that reality in her mind.
For how long?
Consistently, with feeling, for about 2 weeks. And then, out of the blue, an uncle she hadn't expected anything from passed away and left her. Guess what?
His Cadillac.
His Cadillac and his entire estate. She got her car, maybe not how she planned, but the subconscious delivered based on her sustained image and feeling.
So it's really about locking onto the what, not necessarily the how. Does this apply to things like healing too? Physical health?
Oh, absolutely. Murphy tells this incredible story about a relative who had severe tuberculosis. The man's son was desperate.
What did he do?
He got a little piece of wood, put it in a ring, and told his father it was a splinter from the true cross, saying many people had been healed by touching it.
Seriously?
Yeah. The father's imagination just lit up. He grabbed the ring, held it tight, prayed with intense faith, and fell asleep.
And he got better.
Completely healed. Tests came back negative. Murphy's point wasn't about the wood. It was the father's imagination aroused to an intense degree, combined with total confidence and expectancy of a perfect healing. Healing comes from imagination fused with faith, that deep inner knowing.
Mind-blowing. The power of belief. What about practical things like making tough business decisions?
Same principle applies. He talks about a successful executive who, for like 30 years, made big decisions by having imaginary conversations with St. Paul.
Imaginary conversation.
Yeah. He'd mentally present the problem to Paul, imagine Paul reassuring him, saying the decision was right and would bless everyone. Then this wave of peace would come over him and he knew the right action. And another guy, a stockbroker, imagined his super rich friend congratulating him on making smart investments. That inner dialogue helped him make good choices for his clients. It's using that inner faculty for guidance.
Okay, so imagination is this amazing tool for guidance, manifestation, healing. But what if we use it the wrong way? What's the downside?
That's the crucial warning. Murphy is very clear. If you consistently imagine negative things, sickness, accidents, failure, even if things are going well now, you are actively creating the reality you dread.
So worrying actually makes things worse.
Exactly. He talks about chronic worriers who live in these negative mental movies. Their prayers for good things are basically canceled out by their dominant, fearful imaginings. That thing you fear. It only exists in your imagination until you feed it enough energy to make it real.
Wow. Okay, so you really are choosing failure or success with your habitual thoughts.
You really are. Which makes that idea of inner talking or inner speech so important. Well, Spencer talked about this.
What's the connection?
Your inner conversation, what you're saying to yourself all day long, is your reality taking shape. Murphy says it reflects the way you feel inside, and the inside mirrors the outside. So Is your inner talk uplifting, inspiring, or is it dragging you down? It should be sweet to the ear, he says.
It all circles back to that ancient idea. As a man imagines and feels, so does he become.
Precisely. Your outer world is just a reflection of your inner world, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, that inner chatter. Problems pop up, Murphy argues, when we start chasing false gods of fear and error instead of trusting the power within.
So we're never really trapped by circumstances.
According to Murphy, never. He insists you were born to win, to conquer, and to overcome. Why? Because God is always successful, and that divine spark, that power, is within you.
That's where real confidence comes from.
Yes. Knowing you have this inner power that can handle anything, you have to accept it, believe it, and see success not as some finite thing, but as a plus sign, always adding to your growth, wealth, wisdom.
It sounds simple, but maybe profound. Are there, everyday people who did this, not just industrialists?
Oh, tons. He mentions a movie actor who, as a kid, just kept seeing his name in lights on a marquee. For years, held that picture.
It happened.
Yep. He eventually left home, worked on jobs, persisted, and one day, there it was, his name in lights, exactly as imagined. And the drugstore clerk.
Oh, yeah, the guy who worked for someone else for ages.
For 25 years.
Yeah.
Then he started vividly imagining owning his own store, mentally stocking shelves, helping customers, seeing his own employees, a healthy bank account. He lived the role internally.
Did he get his pharmacy?
He did. He actually got fired first, which seemed bad.
Ouch.
But then he got a manager job, then district manager, saved up for 4 years, all while holding that inner vision, and finally bought his dream pharmacy. It just proves, Murphy says, if you consistently hold that mental attitude of faith and joyous expectancy, you are bound to succeed.
Wow. What a journey through believe in yourself. It really hammers home that one core message, doesn't it? Your imagination, when you discipline it, when you direct it consciously, is seriously your most powerful asset for shaping everything.
Everything. Health, wealth, peace, success.
Yeah.
It's not just positive thinking. It's presented as a fundamental law of how we operate.
Right. And it makes you think about that biblical passage. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there.
Exactly. Murphy sees that as proof that this creative, imaginative power is everywhere, omnipresent.
Not just out there somewhere, but right here, inside us, always, just waiting for us to pick up the phone and use it. So the final thought for you listening is maybe just this. What does it truly mean for you personally to know you have this limitless treasure house of infinity right inside, this power that's always responding? How are you going to consciously use it starting today to build the future you really want?